killer took a shot at the President of the United States. Luckily, John was able to deflect the bullet with a dive. The whole scene was thrown into chaos. The security guards grabbed the president and ran away. Seeing that his mission failed, the killer took John as a hostage and dragged him into the elevator. In order to prevent snipers from targeting him, he raised the elevator to a higher level and then quickly smashed the lights above him. This immediately let the surrounding snipers dare not act rashly. After doing this, the killer was relieved. Then he asked John how he found him. Just a few days ago, he'd received a tip from an apartment landlord that he'd found something horrible in one of the rooms. When John came in, he was instantly shocked by what he saw. The walls were covered with pictures and information about the former president. The former president had been assassinated decades ago, and there was still no trace of his killer. Looking at the tag photos, John immediately realized that this person was probably the murderer. He immediately sent the information provided by the landlord to his colleagues. Sure enough, he used fake identities. He and his colleagues surrounded the room, but when they broke in, they found that the person in the room had already run away. Only a black and white photo was left on the wall, and there was a person circled in the photo, and that person was John from decades ago. He was the president's personal bodyguard at the time. He doesn't understand what else they're up to until he came home from work at night. When a phone call came in, the caller claimed to be the one who assassinated the president decades ago and arrogantly said that he would continue to let him witness the president's death. At that moment, John suddenly heard sirens from the other end of the line. This made him realize that the murderer was near his house. But when he quickly ran downstairs, he realized that the phone booth was long gone. Obviously, he wasn't joking. He probably thought of the presidential assassination as an exciting game. So the next day, John begins his terrorism prevention efforts, deploying a large police force to the upcoming election, and even replacing the entire building with bulletproof glass. But that same night, the killer called him again. The assassin calls the man and informs him that he is going to assassinate the president at the election site, and then arrogantly taunts him for trying to protect the president at his age, and says that the last president was assassinated by himself under his protection, and that this time, he will still be allowed to witness history. These words made John instantly angry, and he hung up the phone on the spot. Luckily, his colleagues were able to locate him in time. Immediately after the police launched an arrest operation, the killer ran away, and John followed him closely. At that moment, the killer jumped over a 100-meter wide building. But just as John was about to jump, he was too old and physically exhausted. He could only hang on the edge of the roof and couldn't exert any strength. He was about to fall off the cliff when suddenly the killer poked his head out and reached out to him. He wanted John to see the president killed by himself, but John played a trick on him and pulled out a pistol with his other hand and pointed it at him. At that moment, the assassin took a swing, threw him onto a stand, and then turned around and skipped out of there. John had no choice but to return to his place to look for clues, and that's when he accidentally turned over a strange note, but didn't understand the meaning of the letters. The presidential election was about to begin, but John still had no clue. That very day, when he was on the phone, he realized that the numbers corresponded to the letters. John realized what was going on and immediately looked at the letters on the slip of paper to find the corresponding number. When he called, he realized it was a bank's phone number. When he arrived, he realized that the assassin was planning to enter the presidential election site by posing as the manager of the bank to complete the assassination. After learning the truth, John quickly rushed to the scene of the convention and successfully prevented the president from a fatal blow. When the assassin was about to tear up the ballot, John immediately crouched down, pretending to be unwell, and then communicated to his colleagues outside through the invisible headset, telling the sniper to shoot immediately. At this chaotic moment, John took the opportunity to give him a heavy punch, knocked him down 18-story building, completely eliminated the killer. However, what John didn't expect was that the killer had only used a toy plastic gun to kill 2 men in his lifetime. 2 men laughed at the killer's toy gun, laughed at the killer when they heard he was going to use it to assassinate the president. The killer fired 2 shots directly at them. The killer used calipers to measure the size of the plastic, then melted it into a liquid, then poured it into the mold of the pistol parts, then through a microscope, used a hoof trimmer to smooth out the cooled parts, and then connected the 2 sections of the gun body perfectly, and then inserted the bolt to feed the firing pin. In this way, a powerful plastic pistol was made. He then put the armor-piercing bullets into the gun and pulled the trigger on the cruise ship in the sea. But its lethality didn't seem to meet the killer's expectations. Just then, 2 punks followed the sound of the gun and came over, looking at this plastic gun that even children don't play with. The 2 were full of disdain, but when they heard that the killer was going to use this gun to assassinate the president, they couldn't help but laugh at him madly. However, the assassin didn't say anything and directly fired 2 shots at them. That's why you shouldn't taunt others when you're not doing anything. After completing the test, the assassin immediately started the assassination operation. First, he had a custom-made nose, Then he changed his face through cross-dressing technology, disguised himself as a man, hid small high-explosive bullets in his keyhole, stuffed all the pistol parts into his underpants, and then he walked into the election center with his forged it. When he passed through the security gate, he naturally placed the keychain with the bullets on the table, passed the test, and then calmly took it away. The whole process was extremely smooth. And once he was seated, the president soon arrived at the convention. The killer quickly assembled the plastic gun under the table and covered it with a yellow rag. When the two men were just a step away from each other, he got up and aimed it at the president. This is the 1993 American action movie In the Line of Fire. The assassin used the plastic gun to kill the president, but someone caught him in time to stop the bullet. After failing in his mission, the assassin took the police officers hostage and asked him how he found himself. It turns out that the police officers had contact with the killer not long ago, in order to make the police officers witness the assassination of the president again. The killer took the initiative to provoke the police officers on the phone several times. During the search, the police officers found the strange numbers and understood the meaning of them, so that he arrived in time to save the president. The killer also died on the spot in the final struggle by falling down the building. This story tells us that killers should not be too confident and do too many useless things. Otherwise, they will be found clues. Not only the mission failed, but also killed on the spot. I'm BullDog Movie. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.